Sebastian the Crab.
Normally, this character doesn't get that much credit except as the annoying sidekick to Ariel in The Little Mermaid.
However, there is more to this character than you realize. In fact, without him, the Little Mermaid movie wouldn't be what it is today.
King Triton's right-hand crab Sebastian already has a ton of responsibility on his shoulders. He is the second in charge of the entire kingdom of Atlantica, making sure that the king's affairs and duties are in order, as well as being his personal advisor.
And let's not forget, he's the official court composer. During all of this, he is also tasked with looking after Triton's rebellious daughter Ariel after hearing she's been going to the surface behind her father's back.
With all this stress on his head, no wonder he went berserk when he stumbled over Ariel's human collection.
Not even that long later, Ariel goes back up to the surface and falls in love with a prince named Eric.
Sebastian repeatedly tells Ariel to steer clear of the human race, which is fairly reasonable considering that they are completely two different species. Yet Ariel still falls in love with him in a single day, which is so weird.
Anyway, Sebastian accidentally informs Triton about Ariel's forbidden love. Technically speaking, Sebastian is only doing his job here and trying to protect Ariel from harm.
When Sebastian admits this, he actually blames himself, saying it was his fault for not stopping her in the first place. This already shows how loyal and humble Sebastian is, taking the blame for Ariel's decisions.
Sebastian gives her many reasons why living in the world above isn't nearly as good as living under the sea. And this makes sense, since Sebastian is one of the few creatures that can live life both under the sea and on the land. He's seen these things with his own eyes, so he knows what he's talking about.
And Sebastian is the one who also warns Ariel not to go to the sea with Ursula, already knowing how bad of a person she is.
Despite Ariel's choice, Sebastian decides to stick by her, not tell her father what had just happened, and help her find the prince.
All for the sake of her happiness. Man, he's a good crab. Since Ariel doesn't have her voice in majority of the second half of the movie, it's actually Sebastian who does most of the work to get Eric to fall in love with her.
Like, honestly, he conducts the whole musical Kiss the Girl scene. He does literally everything for Ariel.
And just remember, Sebastian is second in charge to the king, and he's doing this all behind King Triton's back just for the sake of Ariel. There was not one time that he walked out on her and said, oh, this isn't even my problem, I shouldn't even be doing this. And the only time that Sebastian went back to King Triton is when Ariel was getting kidnapped by Ursula. He knew that the only way to save Ariel was to go back on his promise. Her life was a lot more important at that point.
Sebastian was more concerned for Ariel rather than angry at her by the end of the movie. And even at the end of the movie, Sebastian was the one who persuaded King Triton to let Ariel choose her own path. He was there for both of them during their hardest life decisions, at the same time being the level-headed advisor he needed to be.
And even in the other two movies, Sebastian was always there.
In the prequel, he was the one who found a way to bring music back to Atlantica.
He knew the very thing that would bring Triton back to his senses, and where it was.
And in the second movie, Sebastian tells Ariel's daughter Melody all the reasons not to go back in the sea, even though that should really have been Ariel's job to do that.
I know, if Ariel just told her why she shouldn't go into the sea, that someone was trying to kill her, I'm sure Melody would have understood. And again, Sebastian blamed himself when he tried to stop her. He really does care for this family. In a way, Sebastian plays the fatherly figure quite a bit in the entire series.
He's usually seen as the annoying sidekick who always puts a damper on the fun.
But if you think about it, Sebastian is actually the character that saves the day, coming up with all these solutions to the problems Ariel had made.
Although Ariel is the main protagonist of the stories, she really caused and initiated most of the problems throughout the entire series. The point is, Sebastian is always the good guy. Because he is. He steps past that sidekick character and becomes something way more than that. And honestly, Sebastian is actually the true hero of The Little Mermaid.
You know, it's actually funny that a main character causes more problems than solutions, but that's a topic for next week's video. So anyway, thank you everyone for watching.
And do be sure to tell us whether you think Sebastian is the hero or Ariel of The Little Mermaid series. Write them down in the comments bar below.
But until then, we'll see you in our next video.
Bye! And we're not freak outs. I'll stay perfectly calm.
Melody!